Welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast with me, Hiram Roche. This podcast, we encourage fathers, husbands, believers, and entrepreneurs to be able to walk into their God-given potential. Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? And I am always grateful, honored to be able to be here with you, my Greatness Tribe. It is truly, truly always exciting. Tonight, I really want to dive into our conversation. We've been talking these past couple episodes, really talking about this context of us walking through our wilderness season and what that means and the importance of what that is. And what we realized is that one of the main pieces of us walking through the wilderness is God is revealing unto us some things about ourselves, but he's also, on top of that, he is doing some other pieces. He is allowing us to be able to see also some things that God wants to be able to develop within us. So tonight, what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of take some time, really just to take a pause. Because one of the things I realize is sometimes we can get through these patterns of being able to learn lessons and have these dialogues and these conversations. Hey, Dad, how you doing? Good to see you on. To be able to have these dialogues and conversations, and in these conversations, we kind of go through and learn some lessons and get some nuggets, which I believe that we have gotten, and we're taking these tools and applying it to our lives. But sometimes I believe that we need to take a pause and that we need to kind of like sit and see where we are, what's really going on. And so tonight, what I wanted to do is really just share some things when it comes concerning me. And I pray that in this conversation, that you see some things that is concerning yourself and that we are able to kind of walk this out together and have a conversation together. So what I need you to do for me is, surely if you're watching this live, if you're watching this on the replay, if you're listening to this through Apple Podcasts, through Google Podcasts, any of those platforms, I want you to make sure that you are not just listening, but I want you to be engaged. I want you to comment. I want you to share. If you are listening for the very first time, I need you to subscribe, because these are ways and tools that we're able to be able to reach more audience of people and to be able to assist and help others, not just this group of individuals that we have been assisting already. I would say through this process of walking through this wilderness season, I believe a lot of this for me has been a moment of where God is allowing me and showing me this process of healing. And in this process of healing, one of the things that I'm recognizing is that there are some things that I struggle in, just like I believe we all do. I started this conversation with us and showing us that one of the things that he was talking to me about is that having this context of that I was struggling with having self-control, specifically when it came to my emotional place. Um, I understand, knowing me, that I am very, very emotional. I am a person that in times past, I'll use that phrase, um, would cry very easily, very, very sensitive. But I recognize that as time has went on, there's the weight of all of those things have kind of changed, and I have, because of a lot of different transitions that I have been currently going through in the past year or so, um I feel like it has become more overwhelming. And this conversation for me has not been something that is like new, right? This is not like a new context or a new conversation. This is something that actually has been happening for me for some time. And I felt like being emotional was a negative. I felt like me being this sensitive was a negative. So I was trying to adjust myself and trying to change myself to not be that. But I recognized that the only way that I could not be this sensitive, emotional type person is I would have to be cold. I would have to be very iced and closed off when it came in reference to my emotional state, which I knew and recognized and understood that that is not something that is good for me. I cannot be shut off. I cannot be closed down because that is opposite than my personality, right? And so in this part of where I'm at now is understanding some of these major pieces. One, recognizing, I believe that this is important as we're going through this season, right, of being able to identify and see some things within ourselves, is that one of the things in learning this context of seeing and exposing myself to be able to say, Hiram, you are dealing with not having self-control when it comes to your emotions, is because it's almost like I'm trying to now get into a place and a position where I'm accepting Hiram for me. Like for me, I'm wanting to just be myself, however that looks. If I'm emotional person, I'm a just emotional person. If I cry, if I'm sensitive, if I, if I'm my heart is always on my shoulder and I'm always caring for people, like that's just who I am. And I believe that in the process of me being able to accept just who I am, I believe in this journey of where I'm at, it was a struggle. It was a struggle because some of the reason why I struggled in the entry of being able to accept this context of just being who I am is this ideal of I was trying to, in a sense, I don't want to say perform, but I was trying to make sure that even though I was being who I was, that it was accepted by the people that I wanted to be accepted by. And so, with that context, what I would also find myself doing is I would find myself trying to shape shift, trying to become this merge of all of these different components of people to try to be myself in a sense, but then also at the same time trying to be who you needed me to be. And some of those things create all of these different forms of emotions within ourselves. I know specifically with me, which then when things started to transpire and changes started to happen and open wounds that I never dealt with started to kind of like open up, and all of these different waves of things started to happen all at once, it was overwhelming. And I became extremely emotional. And it wasn't emotional just in the context of just crying. I became emotional where it was like, man, I would get angry very, very easily. I would, get frustrated extremely easier than I normally would. And it was just one thing after another. But in the process of this journey, what I'm realizing and I'm seeing within myself is that the reality is the emotion, the situation, the context, it's never been, and this is what I don't believe that what he's showing me is that my emotional state is wrong. Me being angry at moments, or me being frustrated in certain situations, or me being sensitive and wanting to be able to cry in certain scenarios, those things are not wrong. Just like I believe with yourself, there's certain things that we might be going through or being able to be seen in this season of our lives. And some of the things that we are seeing that God is revealing, some of those things he's showing us, it's not that it's wrong to have that emotion, to have that strength, to have that thought process, depending on certain things. Certain things are not wrong. It's just not shifted. It's just not developed. It's just not hewn. So it's like, okay, you can feel this way, Hiram, but you need to be able to understand some context. You need to understand that this sensitivity was created for who you are. Now you have to be able to understand, how do you flow in that? Not that your emotions control you, but how do you recognize, because of the emotion, because of the thing that is populating, because of the frustration, or because of the sadness, or because of whatever that is, how do you now learn or see through that lens and be able to recognize why? Because I think sometimes what ends up happening is we get into these emotional states, or we get into these different places or different thought process or different ways, right? And we're so used to being that way, but we don't recognize why. We don't go back and map out, why did I get upset? Why did I cry in this moment? Why did this make me feel the way it made me feel? Why was I feeling disconnected? Why was I feeling like I was being rejected? What in this moment made me feel the way I was feeling? Because here's the reality. Some of this is for the development of who you are. We are learning about ourselves in this journey. So while I'm learning about me, I have to ask the questions and recognize and see, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? Why is this happening the way it's happening? I shouldn't be getting upset all of a sudden. Like, what did this thing do that triggered this part in me? And what did it trigger? Why did it trigger that? You know what I'm saying? Like we have to be able to start asking these questions based upon the things that God is revealing. Because what God reveals, hear me, what God reveals within us, he also has to touch it. So that means that there's going to be things that happen. There's going to be situations that come across that is going to touch the moments that he is revealing within us. And then when they reveal themselves, when they come out, he's able to say, now this right here is what I've been talking about. No, you talking about you ain't snappy, but right now, what I'm seeing right now is you is. Why are you snapping at that person? Why are you feeling the way you're feeling? Why did your mind go that way? Why did you shift in the direction that you shifted? And so when we're looking at these things, when we're watching these scenarios, when we're looking at our journey, specifically while we're walking through this wilderness season, remember the importance of this season. The season is to reveal and to develop. So it has to not only show us, but it has to develop the strength within us. So me being emotional is not a negative. It just needs to be developed. So the way that it's able to be developed is he has to show me. He has to show me these different things. He has to be able to have certain things, allow certain things to be able to happen to trigger different emotions. Now let me see, how do you deal with that? How do you deal when you don't get your way? How do you deal with this when the feeling of rejection pops up? When the feeling of someone not accepting you comes across the table, when this emotion of anger or frustration happens, what made that happen? And why did that come out right now? How did them saying they didn't like that idea make you feel the way you feel? Because they didn't approve of that? What is the real reason that you're feeling the way you're feeling? And how can you develop this skill? Because understand the assignment on your life. You are going to put things in front of people that some people might not approve of. And you can't get bent out of shape every time they don't like it. The assignment on our lives, hear me, the assignment on our lives, some people will walk away. And some of the people that walk away are people that you feel like were your support system, was the ones that you cared about, the ones that you leaned on. How are you going to deal with that in that season if you don't develop it right now? So while I'm watching this and looking at all of this, one of the things that is helping me right now, I remember this some time ago. One of my uncles actually made this statement. And then over the years, I've had different people kind of communicate this as well. And I think at first I was like, man, I ain't doing that. Like, I kind of like blew it off. But what I realized is the importance of it, and what the thought process is, or what I'm doing currently, is I'm actually taking time to write. Yep. Something as simple as just writing, journaling, processing, through actually releasing the thought out of my head and putting it in to my notes on my phone, writing it down, quick notes on a sticky note or something like that. But I'm getting the thought out so that I can think about and process this. And what I'm learning in doing that is I'm learning, and I'm able to see from a distance, in a sense. I'm able to see these different steps of processing. It's hard. Sometimes feeling the way I'm feeling and being in the moment sometimes is difficult. Sometimes being able to context of rejection, feel this context of feeling rejected by something, or feeling not approved, or feeling not understood, or feeling not loved. It brings up certain emotions within me that now what I'm having to do as I'm trying to process it, I'm writing it down to help me process. And when I'm doing that, what it's helping me to see is it's helping me to see the feeling, it's helping me to see the moment, it's capturing this, the feeling, the moment, and then I can start to document or recognize what makes me feel that way. Like, okay, I don't want to be my own therapist. I'm not trying to be my own therapist, but I am trying to be my own assistant. And I'm trying to walk myself through this step process so that I can understand it. Why do I get so frustrated when it comes to certain types of leadership? Why when you are trying to present something or something is going on and you feel like this idea is a great idea to be able to achieve whatever that might be, why does it feel like you are now overly frustrated because of chaos? What makes you feel that way? What makes you get so agitated when it's not structured? What makes you feel? Recognize what that is. Don't just be frustrated just to be frustrated. Why don't you really like that? What inside of you is making you feel the way you feel? Now, the reason why we're asking these questions is not just to be able to pinpoint the emotion, but it's to recognize also this is why you are who you are. And what I'm realizing is, yes, God is showing us the thing that's within us. Some things that are good, some things that are bad, some things that we thought we got rid of, and some things that we didn't even know that was there. Right? God is revealing these things within us as we walk through this season. And God is also, again, developing some things within us. But what he's shaping and the purpose of developing all of this is what I'm realizing is he's trying to get us to see us. He's trying to get us to be who he created us to be. He's not just going through the process just to go through the process. No, he's trying to get us back to who you are. In the core, who he created and designed you to be, with every mistake, with every good decision, with every heartache, with every great thing, with every love, with every breakup, with all of these pieces that you have experienced in your life. He's trying to show you how he's taken all of those things to create you to be who you are. But what he has to do, and this is what he's doing, this is what he's been talking to me about. I'm just talking to you about what he's been talking to me and what I've been going through and experiencing. What he's trying to get us to do is remember who you are. What if your trauma, what if the pain that you have experienced, what if the negative scenarios that you've dealt with, what if the types of emotional imbalance, what if the insecurities, what if all of those things that we look at and that we focus on are the things that are used as distraction points to be able to get you away from seeing who God designed you to be? Because you're looking at these things as being weaknesses. And God is trying to show you how he put this inside and shaped it inside of who you are. Me being emotional is not a negative. It's a part of my build. I have to be sensitive because of the assignment on my life. I have to be tenderhearted because I have a heart for people. I cannot be shut off because that shuts off the valve that is used for the assignment that I have on my life. But what I need to recognize is how that shapes or how that functions in the perfected way that God designed for my identity. In the same way, I believe that there are things that God is revealing and there are things that God is showing, that he's allowing us to be able to see these things. hoping that we take a look at what he's revealing, and hoping that we start to actually document, look at, examine, and be able to ask him questions concerning these things so he can be able to show us how these things are a part of how he created you to be. Now we just need to work on developing it to be strong enough to handle what you need to handle so it won't move when it's not supposed to. You won't snap off when you're supposed to stand still. You won't be able to stand still when you're supposed to speak up. All of these things are important, but it's important to recognize first, here's who you are. This is what I'm restoring. I'm restoring your identity again. Your past is trying to take it from you. Your pain has tried to make you not see it. The people around you have been distracting you from it. Situations have been overshadowing so you can't even look at it. The society has told you that there are certain things that you are functioning and walking in that is not the norm. All of these pieces. And God is saying, listen, what I'm trying to do in this season is I'm trying to get you to see and remember who you are. So it's hard, man. It's not as easy. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, there's things that has popped up lately that, I mean, normally I would be so emotional, not in a positive way. I will be out of control. I'll be stuck in a hole. Normally what happens, some of the process of what happens with me emotionally is because I have trained myself. I trained myself at a young age that when I feel something that I feel like if I express it or if I communicate it or if I act on it and it's going to hurt someone else, I would automatically shut it down. I trained myself to do that. Or if I felt like it was someone that was older than me that did something that hurt me and I could not, and I knew I could not express it in a way without being disrespectful, I would shut it down. So I trained myself to shut my emotions off. So now what I have to do is I have to develop or train myself not to shut off, because that's what I would do. Go ghost emotionally. I would be cold emotionally. I would be quiet. I wouldn't say a word. But it was because I trained myself how to be able to do that. I taught myself to just be quiet. And I communicated to myself that some of the reasons why I needed to not speak up, some of the reasons why I needed not to express certain things or act on certain things is because don't nobody care about that. Don't nobody want to hear what you got to say. If you say that, if you do that, if you go there, if you make this happen, ain't nothing going to change. Or they're just going to disqualify what you say anyway. So why even express that? Why even share that? Some feelings that I had even as I got older, some feelings, these are like conversations that I've had when I was younger, some conversations that I've had as I got older. And as I got older, it was more context of like, not only are they not going to listen to you, not only are they not going to accept what you're saying, not only is it not going to change anything, but it's also now these other pieces. They're going to spiritualize why you cannot say that, or why you shouldn't feel that, or why you shouldn't do that, or why you shouldn't be acting this way, or why you shouldn't feel the way or feel like you should do this. Even if down in the core of who you are, you know that this is what you're supposed to do. So what would I do? Keep quiet. Don't say a word. Feelings all inside, just you flipping all inside, you going through all of these emotions inside, but you cannot communicate it to nobody. Because if you share it, People just gonna say you crazy, or people gonna say, man, you overreacting, or people gonna say, no, that's crazy. Why would you even want to do that? Or why would you even act like that? All of these different things, all because this is how you feel. Now, is the answer correct? Might not be. Is the feeling actually correct? Probably not. But it's something that I train myself to do. So now when certain situations happen, or when certain circumstances go on and things happen in my life, I automatically go to my first response, which is to clam up. Now I have to, because he's revealing it, he's dealing with it. Now I have to get to the place where I'm walking in now, is I have to train myself to say it. I don't care how crazy it sounds. I don't care, in some sense, I'm not being disrespectful with it or anything like that. But even I gotta say it. I have to get it out. I have to ask the question. I have to express it. I have to do it. No, not crazy stuff, but I have to act upon what I need to act upon, because what I cannot do is hold it in. Now what I'm asking is, God, give me the guidance to be able to act in this or walk in this with wisdom. Because just because I feel it and I know I need to express it, don't mean you need to say it the way you feel it. Because sometimes you feel something and you say it in such a way that it cannot even get across the right way, because you so much in your feelings. Now, sometimes it's needed and sometimes it's not. Some moments I need your passion in the conversation. Some moments I need your passion to kind of calm down so I can actually understand what you're trying to say. I need you to be able to balance it so I can actually enjoy the action that you're doing. And it does not come off aggressive, or it doesn't come off like too much. But I have to develop that. But again, it's the purpose of developing it is for twofold for me. One is just developing Hiram, not a preacher, not a podcaster, not a son, not a father, not a friend, not a coworker, just Hiram. Developing this in this process, which means I have to deal with certain things and certain lies that I've told my own self. I got to relearn certain things. I got to walk in certain paces. I got to go through this process. And as I'm going through this process, I'm healing, but I'm also seeing life differently. I'm also seeing situations differently. I'm also feeling the boldness to be able to approach certain things, or even just voice certain things. Not because I'm trying to voice it because I need your approval. Voice it because it needs to be said. Voice it because if I do not speak it, it might hurt you more than it might help you. Do this action because I know I have to do it according to my assignment, or according to who I am as a person. So I have to start walking in my fullness of my identity. And I understand that who God has created me to become, who I am walking in now, the way that I think in not in a full conversion, but there are certain pieces of my thought process that has shifted and changed. Not in no crazy stuff, but there are certain shiftings and developments and things that has happened within me. Even when it comes to how I'm functioning, how I walk, how I deal with certain situations, it's changed within me. So now when it comes to people that knew me or know me and walk with me and talk with me, I have to, in some sense, I was listening to, I believe it was Pastor Mike, he made this statement, and I think it's so accurate. I have to reintroduce myself, because the journey in the wilderness is allowing me to reveal some things within me, but it's developing some things within me, which means when it's all said and done, the person that went in the wilderness is not going to be the same type of person that comes out, because that means I grew, I developed, and I became the person I was designed to be for the life God designed me to live. So I just really wanted to have a conversation with y'all. I love y'all so much. As always, I am honored for you to be able to be here with me and us having these conversations. And we're going to see what God does this year. You know, God might shift this whole thing. I don't know yet. But what I do know is that I have to take this one day at a time, walk this one step at a time, because he's developing us. He's growing us to become who he created us to be. So I love you all, family, and I'll talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.